everywhere else. So she has been fabulous, and they worked really hard to put this event on for you. And I'm just so grateful that you've all come. You know, when you write a book, you just don't know if anybody is ever going to read it. That's honestly like the worst fear. You know, you just don't know if anybody's ever going to read it, if it even means anything to anybody. So thank you all for being here and supporting this. I want to share a little bit about this book with you tonight. The first thing, as I started to write this, I really got sad, a little sad, because the world we're living in isn't well. Would you agree? Things are really changing, and not for the better. 54% of people in the world today say that there are things that they would like to improve when it comes to health. And I think that a lot of you probably work with those people, right? In fact, some of us might think that there's 100% of people who say that they would like to do something different with their health. So this statistic is not good. For the second year in a row, life expectancy has actually decreased in the United States. How do we feel about that? I don't feel very good about that. One thing that's also quite alarming is, have you heard of health span? Something called health span. This is the amount of years that we actually are healthy and that we do what we want to do. It's now 61.9 years of age. Past that, we are no longer going to be capable of bathing ourselves, dressing ourselves, getting up out of a chair. How do we feel about that? I'm not that far from 61.9 years of age. I really don't think I'm ready to have somebody bathing me. I don't know about you, but I'm not really there. So something is not going the right direction. And the one that really is alarming to me is our children. For the first time in recorded history, our children are sicker than their parents or grandparents were at the same age. Between obesity and autoimmune disease and allergies and food sensitivities and on and on and on, they're just not well. And this was such just a heavy thing on me. And I had an interesting experience. I apologize for those who've heard this. I had an interesting experience just about a month ago. I was able to go to Morocco on a trip. And it was a really bucket list trip. And one of the things that we did is we rode out on camels in the middle of the Sahara Desert, stayed in a Bedouin camp overnight. The next morning we woke up and they gave us the option of either riding the truck back or the camels back. Well, everybody in the camp, including my husband, chose to ride the trucks back, except myself, my daughter, and her friend, who are both here actually with me tonight. Help, they're two of your servers, because we said, when in the world are we ever going to ride a camel in the Sahara Desert again? I mean, it certainly was not a joyride. I'll just tell you that right now. There was like this thing that goes like right up the middle of you. And so you never know exactly which side to sit on. You're kind of always pushing yourself up. And when the camel goes down, you go down, and the camel goes up, you go up. And it's a bit of an interesting thing. But there were only 3 of us on these camels riding back. So we had this big, long string of camels behind us that were empty because everybody else rode the trucks back. So I had this guide who was guiding my camel. My camel's name was Jafar, and he had a passport. Exactly. Is that not fitting? He had a passport, and he was in movies, apparently. So Jafar had a problem. He always thought that there was a girl back in the camel train. There never was, because they never take girls. They only take boys. But he was sure there was a girl back there. And in the camel world, only one guy gets the girls. So if you have a chance to get a girl, you're going to do it. So he would never actually walk forward unless the guide was pulling him. So the guide was pulling him. I was the front camel. So I had this guy's rapt attention, which that's my favorite thing. So I just started asking him questions about his life. And he said that he had actually been nomadic until he was 15 years old. They had traveled from campsite to campsite. Their animals would eat the grass. They would pack up on their camels. They would move to the next campsite, and they would do it all over again. And I started thinking about this life and the challenges they would have. And I started thinking about, well, how did they stay well? Because this is, my whole life. How did they stay well? And what did they use for medicine as they were traveling from campsite to campsite? And I actually passed a milk thistle bush. There was very little growing, but I passed a milk thistle bush, and I thought, did they use that for medicine? So I just asked him, I said, well, what did you do when you got sick, when you were living in the desert? And he turned around, walking backwards while he was pulling Jafar, and he had this really kind of quizzical look on his face, and he said, we didn't get sick. Yeah, exactly. We didn't get sick. And I thought, wow, our Western world today doesn't even think about that as a possibility, that we don't have to get sick. Well, I was part of this unwell majority. I actually, most of you probably know my story. I'll do a very short version. I got sick from drilling out mercury fillings in people's mouths. So I got deathly ill, thought I was going to lose my practice, thought I was going to lose everything, and had to completely change the way that I practiced dentistry. So when I started getting back to, I'm going to dig into the book for a few little sections here, if I can find them. I'm going to talk about how when I got sick, I found myself at a very difficult fork in the road. My grandfather was a doctor, my father was a dentist, and I had followed in their footsteps, learning and practicing in the modern Western medicine framework. Unfortunately, this medical model didn't provide me with the tools that I needed to stay well and prevent illness in the first place, nor was it giving me the answers that I needed to get well once I was sick. When I found out that my health problems stemmed from mercury poisoning, I started to question modern Western medicine and my education in general. If I hadn't been taught about the dangers of mercury, what else was missing from my education? Frustrated and feeling like I only knew half of the story, I ventured onto a new path, looking further back than the last 150 years. What I found surprised me in many ways. You know, at this point, I knew I needed to follow a new path. So I went back to school, I continued learning, and there wasn't a lack of answers. Have you felt like that as well? Today, we are not lacking in information. We're lacking in clarity. There's so much information, right? We're drowning in information between all of you who share things online and podcasts and books and experts and news. And there's so much information. How do we really get clear on what it will take for us to get well, us and the world in general? Well, we really need to simplify. At the end of the day, we are just a whole bunch of cells. And I love these statistics. Did you know that your brain can hold 5 times as much information as the Encyclopedia Britannica? And that your nerve impulses travel at 170 miles per hour on the same amount of power as a 10-watt light bulb? Or that your life-giving heart creates enough pressure to project blood 30 feet? How about the fact that in one day that blood travels a total of 12,000 miles? Not to be outdone, your eyes take in more information than the largest existing telescope. Your lungs have a surface area the size of a tennis court, and you can have 2/3 of your liver removed from trauma or surgery, and it will grow back to its original size in 4 weeks. Your body is constantly repairing and rebuilding, producing 300 billion new cells every day, all without you needing to consciously direct the process. Isn't that incredible? We have the ability inside of us to stay well. We have the ability. Our body has the ability. One of my favorite examples that I use every single time is if you cut your finger, you might put a Band-Aid on it. But does the Band-Aid do the healing? No, what's doing the healing? Your body does the healing, right? It doesn't matter what medicine you use. All medicine is a Band-Aid. It's all there just to support your body and do the job that it already knows how to do. So, what do your cells need to do their job? Let's go back a few years. Let's go back to 1897. Imagine living in a time when the world was enveloped in darkness after sunset. People rushed to finish everything they needed to do before nightfall, knowing that after dark, they'd have to rely on candles or gas lamps for dim glimmers of light. As the 19th century came to an end, the world was still shrouded in darkness for half of the day. But it was on the verge of a revolutionary breakthrough thanks to the ingenuity of 3 inventors. We know one of them, Thomas Edison, right? You've all heard of him. But did you know that Thomas Edison was in New York City? And the same time, there was a man named Swan that was also doing the same thing in England. This ignited a change that would illuminate the world in ways that were previously unimaginable. Suddenly, cities didn't need to sleep when the sun set. Streets gleamed with the brightness of electric lamps, casting away shadows and ushering in a new era of life after dark. The light bulb's invention fueled other types of technological innovation as well. One of the inventors, Nikola Tesla, have you heard of him before? Was an enigmatic visionary with a flair for the dramatic. He envisioned a world where the electric light could move beyond just on or off, and he created the dimmer switch. So this is the part I want you to pay attention to. These innovations quite literally changed how we see the world. But did you know that your body works in ways that are strikingly similar to those darkness-shattering bulbs? Your life depends on the flow of electricity, specifically the flow of electrons through each cell in your body. In this book, you'll learn about this concept of cellular or biologic electricity, the literal electrons in your body. When this flow of electricity stops, life stops. Life and death are binary categories. However, living encompasses all of the degrees of light in between. And that's what we want to do, is all of the degrees of light in between, on or off. We want to live. We want to live well. That's what I wanted, and that's what I found that my patients wanted too. Living well looked different for them in different ways. Some of them wanted to continue a career they loved. Some of them wanted to play with their kids or grandkids. Some of them wanted to learn how to bake sourdough bread. Some of them wanted to golf more. All of these things were what living well meant to them. Some stories that I'll always remember: had a patient named Kim, and she was really struggling. She actually was a therapist, but couldn't continue doing therapy because she had chronic diarrhea. I mean, you think, okay, that could be life-changing, and it was for her. The fix was eventually doing some dentistry. We had to remove some infected teeth that were in her mouth. She also had some other challenges with metal plating that she'd had put in her leg from surgery. Working together, we got her back to work. That was living well for her. Another person, Serena, she was a beautiful singer, but she could never take a gig from about November to April because she was never sure she was going to be well. So we started supplying her cells with the things that they needed to stay well. She started taking oregano oil, vitamin C, elderberry every single day. She actually has not gotten sick since, and this has been over 2 years now. It's all about, what do your cells need? And the question I have for you is, what is wellness to you? Like, what does living well mean to you? What really does it mean to you? Is there something you want to live past 61.9 years to do? What does it mean to you? And do you want to improve that life while you're living? So now, how are you going to start? This is when you get to look in the book as well, if you would like. Page 259, I'm going to teach you what all the maybe odd things we gave you are all about. So the first place you're going to start is page 260. I started studying all sorts of traditional medical theories and practices from all over the world. Chinese traditional medicine, Ayurveda from India, German herbalism, Native American medicine. I started studying all of them. And what I realized is they all looked at the seasons of the earth, the elements of the earth, and they used symptoms to tell us where to start. But it was so confusing. So on page 260, 261 is what I call the Seasons of Wellness Assessment. What you do is you go in and you just check off any symptom you're currently experiencing. So what this is from all of those methodologies. You actually don't need to go study all of the books that I have over there in my cottage that I read. You don't have to study them all because I did it for you. And I simplified it down into this assessment. So you're going to take the assessment and you're going to find out which season are you in. Now, this isn't the same season as the season of the earth. It's the season of your body, because all of these methodologies use the seasons. For example, if your body's liver needs help detoxing, you are in a spring season. So your symptoms, you would check off these, and you would actually have the most in column 1. If you have the most in column 1, the answer keys on the next page, then you are in spring season. It means your liver and gallbladder needs help first. This is how you simplify all of the options and answers and ideas in the world and say, where do I start? Where do I start first? Which cells need help first? That's how you start. So that's what I wanted to highlight. You also can go, in fact, it'll tell you on the next page. If you go to, I don't know what it is, resources.livingwellbook.com, there's a digital version of it. You don't even need to write it in the book. You can go take it online. It'll tell you exactly what season you're in, and it'll tell you what to do about it. That's the part I want you to know. Okay, page 332. This is why I gave you a dry brush and magnesium spray. Let's see if I can turn my own page here. 332. Okay, dry brushing instructions. So there's 4 things that every cell needs. They need supplies, and a lot of us know that already. So tonight, we gave you some lettuce from my garden that is full of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is amazing at detoxing your body. So if you have a bunch of gunk in your body, you're going to supply it with green foods. You know what's fascinating is the earth actually provides what we need when we need it. So often in the springtime, we do need to detox. What grows in the springtime? What color is predominantly in my yard right now? Green stuff, full of chlorophyll, fabulous for the liver and gallbladder. Guess what also is great for the gallbladder? Those radishes. Radishes are fabulous and they grow right now, which is springtime. So it's so fascinating when you just step back and say, what is the earth teaching us and telling us right now? We're so removed from it that we don't even really pay attention much anymore. In fact, I'll tell people, do you eat seasonally? And they look at me and they say, I have no idea what grows when. And that's a common thing because everything is available every single day of the year because it's in season somewhere, right? It's in season in Ecuador. So of course we have it in our grocery store, but we don't really know it's seasonal. The earth gives us a lot of cues, but the book simplifies it down for you as well. So in the chimichurri on your meat, that's all from the oregano and parsley from my garden as well. Full of chlorophyll. That stuff, and it's delicious, is it not? It's so good, exactly. It just tastes different when it's full of nutrients too. That's supplies. The second one is our heart has a pump, so our circulatory system, we can move our blood around, but the lymphatic system, we actually basically, this is my mission. This is what I've been told I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to help the world live well. And all profits from the book go to charity. So this is not me. This is not for me. This is actually for charity. Charities that we're supporting are things like regenerative agriculture and clean water. Things that are going to help our world live better so we can all live better too. So tonight, not tonight, over the next 2 weeks, I have a goal to sell 5,000 books. And it's not about being on a bestseller list. It's about getting attention on the things that we need the world to pay attention to, which is how do we live well? So I would love for you all to help me share this message and to help me spread this mission. Between all of you sitting in this room, you are influencing and helping millions of people. If just 1% of those that you are in contact with make a change, and 1% of those people make a change, all of a sudden this snowballs in a big way. So this is something I would love to invite you to come with me on. Join me. Let's help the world to live well. There's a couple of ways you can do that. Just share, the pictures we took for you tonight, all these things. Just share what you've been learning. Share what you've been learning in the book. Take pictures. Share with people who might know. If you have a bigger way that you think you could also share, if you have patients or followers or employees or family members or friends or whomever that you think would also benefit, we have a way to do bulk buys on books also. So I can get you a discounted price for books if you want to buy 10 or 20 or 30. That just helps to spread the message and the mission. This is not a book. This is my mission. And my mission is to help all of you live well so that you can fulfill your missions. That's really what I'm all about. So let me just finish off with the last little bit. I want to help you live well every day, to do what you love and fulfill your unique potential. That potential is dependent on learning how to power up yourselves, find health and healing everywhere around you, and live with unbelievable levels of energy naturally as possible. You are the one with your finger on your own dimmer switch. Everything you need to know to live your life to its fullest and reach your highest potential is right here in these pages. Let's get started. So thank you for being here with me and for joining my mission. I appreciate you all. And we have dessert. And we have dessert too. Thank you guys. All right, we have dessert coming and it's super delicious, so you want that.